It's the Mad Queen. Welcome into the Queen's Lair. Today's video, I'm going to be going over equipment and, upgrading equipment, when you should be upgrading, when you shouldn't be. And I also want to talk about, the new rating system they have going on here. I absolutely love that they have made it so simple. This is a mobile game, and I think a lot of times these gacha game creators that are making these, turn-based games forget we are playing a mobile game and it doesn't need to be so complicated. These games should, have enough challenge to keep us interested and have enough things going on that, we have stuff to work on at different times and at different paces. But it shouldn't take forever. Not everybody has a ton of time to invest into learning all of the ins and outs within a game. We want a game, that's going to, like I was saying, give us enough to do, that's fun, challenging, interesting, but that doesn't take forever. Okay. And so I think this is a really, really great way to retain people when new players come into the game and they see that, things are simplified, like them rating equipment. It makes people want to stay because they don't have to put in as much time just to get basic knowledge of the game. So that's really what I want to go over, because I believe the last video I made on equipment was probably around a year ago, and of course a lot of things have changed. So firstly, I want to talk about the rating system. If you have been skeptical of the rating system, and what I'm talking about is, you see how this piece is a triple S and it's glowing yellow, but this is triple S white, and as you go down, there's S, A, B, C, D. So basically, the creators have come up with an algorithm that rates equipment based on, hold on one sec. I'm just going to go to the bottom here. Based on what piece of gear it is. So like this is a steady piece and it's, for defense. So it takes that into account. It's also going to take account in, I can't talk, sorry. It's also going to take into account what the primary stat is on that piece of equipment, and what it is specifically. But also it's going to look at what your substats are, okay? And whenever I first saw this, I've played other games that have tried to do stuff like this, and the algorithm that they came up within the game for their rating was not very good. So I was extremely skeptical. I went through, before I decided to really look at and use, the rating system that they have visible here for us, I went through and I was vetting it because I wanted to see if it was right or not. I've played a ton of these kinds of gacha games where you have heroes, you level the heroes up, you get gear, then you get better gear, you upgrade the gear, and you put that onto your heroes. So I have a lot of knowledge when it comes to gear and what is good. So I did vet it out, and it is excellent. It is so, so, so good. Before I utilized this system, I actually had almost 2,000 pieces of gear in here, and my bag would just grow and grow and grow until basically it was just completely full, and I had no choice but to go through equipment and, look piece by piece if it was good or not. But now, whenever I'm going through and looking in my bag, you can trust the rating system. It's excellent. It has made it so much faster to clear out my bag, and just without having to go and click on each piece individually, one at a time, looking at the main stat, looking at, what kind of set it was, looking at all of the substats. And then you have to also think about, who is this set meant for? Are these stats good with this set as well? Which is super, super important. But it is really, really good. And now, for the point where I'm at in the game, you can see I do have some some low tier gear that's upgraded here, but that's just because this gear I've had for a while. But where I'm at now, I won't upgrade anything that's under an A. And even then, I'm pretty picky about upgrading A rated gear. Whenever you are trying to decide, what's good for you, understand that, like, I myself did not just log in, and over the course of a couple of weeks or a month get this really good gear. There is a process you have to go through, and the game has made it so forgiving when it comes to getting resources back, that they are making it easy for us to climb, because the resources we're putting in to lower tiered gear and, lower level gear, we can get back. So just quickly, I want to take you through my process, a little bit of how I came to get, triple S gear. It took a long time. When I started, obviously you get blue gear, and you don't really do much with that before you start to get purple gear. And honestly, I upgraded a little bit of my purple gear, but I didn't really start upgrading gear until I got to, I believe it was the yellow gear. And that's the point whenever you really start investing, okay? So when you get yellow gear, for the most part, it doesn't matter what it is. You upgrade that and you use that. And then slowly, as you get something a little better, you get rid of that gear. And then you put those resources into the next level, which is red, and whenever you start to get to the point where you get legendary gear, you start getting rid of your red pieces of gear so that you can upgrade these legendary pieces. But it's slow. You don't start by getting, as soon as you get this legendary gear, you just start only upgrading S tier stuff. No, you have to start low, upgrading those items that are, a D or a C or a B or an A before you can get to the point where you're getting S. You have to take your time, you have to be patient, and you have to just keep farming and keep farming. You will get there. I will say that there is a rule of thumb to always go by. And I can't remember if I've already said this or not. So quickly, you want to make sure that, like on this piece where it is a D, if you can get a percentage based, I'm trying to think, stat instead of just a flat stat. So when I say flat stat, you can see like this just says 360, whereas up here this says a percentage. Okay, so you always want to get a percentage over a flat stat. That is always going to be your best option. And like I said, and I've said many times in this video, they've made it so easy for you guys. Just pay attention to the ratings and be patient, okay? And then the last thing you really want to do is look at when you're doing these pieces of gear. So look, I have this triple S piece of gear here, and it gives you initial energy plus 200. So it might be a triple S, but it's only going to be a triple S piece of gear for specific heroes, okay? So I'm not going to go put this on, I'm just saying generally speaking, I'm not going to go put this on a tank, a set of the light gap on a tank, and be good to go. This is going to be something that's more so for my heroes that are damage based, that are doing and dealing damage for me over time. And then lastly, something I want to mention is, of course, we know that the game has had this option where you can unequip all and equip all, and it will basically build, a set for you for the hero, a gear set. They have definitely made some changes to this, and it is actually pretty good. I won't say it's perfect, because what it's going to do is just give you a generalized build for your hero. So it's not going to give you the best build, like, necessarily. So if you're wanting to use, for example, this hero in the Disa Caves, or if you want to use this, and it's going to be a little bit different when it's not a support hero. Whenever you have support heroes and you have tanks and whatnot, generalized builds are typically going to be pretty good. But when you have heroes like, Bailey, Hudson, Ravina, Daniel, heroes that are doing damage, you are going to want to have different builds, but that generalized build that they give you right out of the bat is going to be pretty good overall, because when they've rated all this gear and they've come up with this algorithm, seriously, they've done an excellent job. This is the best I've ever seen in one of these kinds of games. They've really went the extra mile with this. It's taking into account the stats you need to get the most out of this hero. But again, remember, it's generalized, so some builds are going to be better for heroes, for different places within the game. Where, for example, like I was talking earlier, the Disa Caves. If I want to use Daniel in the Disa Caves, which I'm not saying, I am or you should or anything like that. This is just an overall example. But I might want to have, more attack on Daniel in the Disa Caves. Whereas if I want to use him in PvP, I might want him to have a little bit more defense or health, or maybe accuracy. It depends on how you plan to use that hero. You can use these heroes in a lot of different ways, and to get the specifics out of them like you want, you are going to have to use these specialty builds. But like I was saying, overall, in general, until you get to a place within the game where you really need to start making those niche specific builds, you can use what they're recommending for you, and it will work pretty well, honestly. If you guys have any other questions about equipment, upgrading, anything that I might have missed, please let me know. This video obviously does not contain, managing equipment. This is really just, wearing your equipment, what you should be looking to upgrade, and this and that. But it's not about going through and filtering out, because, you can smelt equipment, you can forge equipment, you can do a lot of different things. But this is just a generalized guide to help you overall in your progress. And just remember, don't compare your progression to anybody else's. It's going to be different. Everybody has a different, different resources when it comes to the amount of time you have, the amount of money you have, and things along those lines. So just be patient. And if you guys have any questions, please feel free to leave that below in the comments, and I would be more than happy to answer any of those. Thanks for watching, and I'll catch you in the next video. This video was brought to you in collaboration with Eternal Evolution. Download the game for free now in the iOS or Google Play Store. You can also use my personal game download code in the video description to show some support. Thanks for watching, and I'll catch you in the next video.